The Beaver River Watershed is made up of over 17,000 square kilometers of boreal forests and parklands, overlapping the provinces of Alberta and Saskatchewan. About the size of Lake Ontario, the Beaver River Watershed is a complex mosaic of interconnected ecosystems. So what is a watershed? We can think of it like a giant basin. As water falls, it sheds off the land, filling creeks and tributaries, or entering the ground. Eventually, this water finds the lowest point it can. In our case, the Beaver River. Part of the larger Churchill River system, the Beaver River Watershed is one of the few watersheds in Alberta that does not receive any runoff from the Rocky Mountains. With source water coming from outside national parks, protection of these areas becomes even more critical.
So watershed management is important because we all rely on water, whether it's for drinking, whether it's for recreation, whatever the use is. And no matter the walks of life that we're part of, we're human, we're animal, we're insect, all biodiversity requires water. It is a natural resource, and we must do our part in order to make sure that it is healthy and that we maintain the natural flow of our watershed.
Runoff and groundwater are important sources for the Beaver River and support the many lakes and wetlands in the watershed. Water used by humans for residential, agricultural, recreational, or industrial purposes also eventually drains into the river. When we think of the watershed in this way, we begin to realize that any decision we make on the land can have an effect on the Beaver River and the quality of water that flows through it. The Beaver River Watershed is home to many wildlife and plant species. Its weather and climate are important drivers of water use and availability, factors that influence the types of vegetation and animals that can be found in the region. Recent studies have shown that riparian areas bordering water bodies like wetlands, lakes, and rivers, are largely intact in the watershed, with 76% classified as high intactness, and a further 10% as medium intactness. This tells a story of good watershed health, as these areas are critical for the filtration of water and for plant and animal habitats. Species richness, a measure of the variety of animal species living in a given area, is highest in the north, areas with comparatively less development than in the south and central parts of the watershed. Human disturbance has led to shifting populations of animal species in the region. Certain species, like coyote and black bear, have increased in prevalence, while other species, like lynx and wolf, have dwindled in southern areas of the watershed. The boreal caribou, a keystone species for First Nations and Métis people, all but disappeared before programs were initiated to rehabilitate their numbers. For time immemorial, Cree and Dene peoples established nomadic lifestyles on the river and its watershed, with the landscape and abundance of keystone species providing everything needed for physical, mental, and spiritual wellness. Later, Métis peoples built a unique culture and language, living in harmony with the land.
Back in the old days, the fur trading days, our community depended on this as one of the means of transporting their furs from up north back to their homes. They used to paddle from here and go east through Saskatchewan, Portage, and somehow or other this river actually ends up in Hudson's Bay through the Churchill River. So it does have a unique history to our culture and a long history.
The arrival of settlers brought new inflection points for the watershed. During early colonization, overfishing and overhunting were common, impacting keystone species like bison and beaver. What followed was the conversion of land for agricultural crops, altering natural ecosystems.
The success of any agriculture operation is really dependent on the health of the land. And our producers know that, so they're constantly looking for new ways of implementing practices that will benefit the land as well as their overall operation. Some of the work that we're looking at is on riparian health. So riparian health assessments, as well as encouraging producers to implement practices that are going to support riparian health, such as buffer zones. So this is where we actually have a strip around a riparian area that producers are not going to be either tilling or farming, which means that we're going to reduce the soil erosion, we'll reduce runoff going into those watersheds. Another method that producers in the watershed are implementing is riparian fencing to limit livestock access to a riparian area to maintain their health of that entire ecosystem, which can really assist with preventing soil erosion and runoff from any pesticides and herbicides.
Oil and gas development further pressured the region, with many discoveries leading to naturalized land converted for resource extraction.
My name is Monty Moore. I'm a senior environmental advisor with Strathcona Resources. So the monitoring programs that our oil and gas companies all undertake in this area is water monitoring, wetland monitoring, soils, vegetation, all to help monitor around our facilities. So something unique to the Beaver River Watershed is all the oil and gas companies support what's called the Lake Watch program. It gives us funding to go and complete some monitoring in 10 lakes within our Beaver River Watershed region. And we're the only area in Alberta that does extra lake monitoring. The environmental perspective in the entire region, Alberta, the world, Canada, has changed drastically in the last 30 years. And our younger generations are definitely asking lots of environmental questions. So that's neat to see. And the future's bright for all of our environmental industry and industries in the Lakeland region, I think.
Today, prioritizing watershed health is the highest it has ever been. LICA, the Lakeland Industry and Community Association, is the Watershed Planning and Advisory Council for the Beaver River Watershed, focused on environmental monitoring and management, as well as community education and outreach.
So LICA is a very unique organization. We're 3 organizations in one. So we started out as a synergy group, we evolved into an airshed, and now we're also a Watershed Planning Advisory Council for the Beaver River Watershed. As a Watershed Planning Advisory Council, LICA is responsible to assess and report on watershed health, lead collaborative planning, and facilitate community education and stewardship to promote awareness within our region. So some examples of our programming and initiatives include conducting riparian health assessments. We have a variety of free school programs and presentations for all age groups. We also involve the community by conducting some riparian health campaigns and the Keep Our Lake Blue campaign. And we also teach a lot of methods on how we can collaborate together to ensure that the environment is ecologically healthy and sustainable.
We're just out here today doing a little shoreline cleanup. The main goal here is that we're trying to pick up some garbage and get any invasive species, plant species, noxious weeds, that kind of thing out of our shorelines. The shoreline is an incredibly important part of our environment around this region, and it's a responsibility that we all share in keeping it nice and healthy and clean.
We've also expanded our acid deposition monitoring network. Essentially, any pollutant in the air, when mixed with the atmosphere, creates acidifying substances, which then gets deposited into our soils and water, and then can create impacts to our biodiversity and sensitive ecosystems. We also, just recently in 2025, have developed an early monitoring detection program for aquatic invasive species, where we utilize environmental DNA technology, eDNA, that can indicate whether or not invasive species are present in our lakes. These monitoring programs, we essentially want to fill existing data gaps and assist with informing our decision makers for environmental management initiatives.
As inhabitants of the lakeland, it's easy to think of ourselves as separate from the ecosystems that have endlessly cycled for millennia. That is not the case. We are a part of the ecosystem, just like an ant carrying a fallen leaf, or a northern pike spawning in Beaver Lake. Due to our impact on the surrounding environment, we have even more of a responsibility to be stewards of the watershed.
I moved here in 2015. It was actually pretty exciting for me because I was really excited to be living in Cold Lake and have access to this lake and do some downrigging for lake trout, and then I know there's good walleye in here if you can catch them. What I enjoy about it is the simplicity to do the recreation that I enjoy doing. Just right out my door I can be on Cold Lake, and then within 20 minutes to half an hour there's just any choice of any kind of lake that you want to be on for any kind of fishing that you want to do. And to be able to do any kind of canoeing, camping. People in the area, people that know things and people that are adventurous and want to be stewards and want to be a part of keeping the watershed healthy and enjoying it. We help each other enjoy it better and help protect it. There he goes off, bite another day.
The Beaver River Watershed provides us with an abundance of clean water, countless recreational amenities, and endless natural beauty. So we must recognize that every day we make decisions that affect the watershed and the quality of water that flows through it. It's up to us to create a better future, and nobody is too small to make a difference.
We all have a role to play to ensure that our environment is ecologically healthy and sustainable, because our actions today actually impact 7 generations in the future. Our grandkids and our grandkids, they're going to see those impacts. So we really have to be mindful of what we do and how we interact with our watershed in order to preserve it and maintain it for those generations.